Which came first, Hellheim or hell? This is a chicken and egg question. I'm specifically focusing the comparison of the Icelandic and other shamanic pagan cosmologies around the world with Christian beliefs about hell, as I believe most ideas were adopted from their pagan neighbors. Why? Why would they do that? Conversion, assimilation, power, control. Hi, and welcome to Spiritual X-Files, where we step out of the box and open our minds, because the truth is out there. Let's look at Hellheim. Hellheim is one of 9 realms found in Norse cosmology, and there's an infinite number of places found in each of those realms, perfectly reflecting the concept of the multiverse. However, all shamanic cosmologies across the globe describe it as a 3-world system or 3 tiers, one stacked on top of the other. The higher world, the middle world where we are, and the lower world, and I'll get more into that soon. Helheim is ruled by Hel, H-E-L, or as we'll use for easy understanding, Hela. She is the goddess of this realm, depicted as a beautiful, elegant, magnificent, beautiful person. But the other half of her is dead and decaying, which I think is just a perfect representation of yin and yang, or, the duality of this world. This long-told reality from Norse shamans, who were those that could traverse the realms and work with spirits, kind of like cosmonauts, who saw this as a huge changing landscape similar to the physical world. Here in Helheim, the spirits that dwell here are spirits of humans that did not make it to Asgard, which is Odin's realm and the realm of the Aesir gods and goddesses, as because the only way to enter Asgard was dying in battle. Helheim was a place where spirits of the deceased could rest and be fed well. So it was a place of rest and renewal. This was not a place of suffering and condemnation with little devils poking at you with pitchforks or burning in a fire for eternity. When people migrated to Iceland 2000 BC, they began their discovery of this region, not only in the physical aspect, but the spiritual. These stories were passed down orally, and it wasn't until the 13th century that the stories were finally written down by an elite Icelandic chieftain, Snorri Sturluson, in 1220 CE and AD, or AD. Is there a place in Norse cosmology of eternal damnation? No. No, there isn't, and if you haven't caught on Abrahamic Christianity, turn Hel, H-E-L, or Helheim to hell. Why? Why would they do that? The best answer I found was for power and control. What better way to enslave people but with fear? I think we, see that in our world today with our, people up there controlling things. Where in turn the Norse, Icelandic, and even shamanic cultures around the world function by and with honor, among other virtues. However, the Norse weren't the only ones to see the astral worlds as a multi-leveled system. Shamanism is not an organized religion, but an ancient, pragmatic technology of consciousness designed to interact with nature and the mind. As Jesse Pinkman would say, it's science, bitch! These weren't just ignorant people looking at their world, coming up with fantastical stories trying to explain why things were the way they were or why natural events happen. This was a serious study of existence and the minds. Amazingly, shamans across the globe, separated by time and oceans, depict almost identical findings. The spirits or god and goddesses change depending on the region and natural environment. In South America, we have the Amazonian, like the Shipibo, who see the world tree with the upper, middle, and lower world as a kapak tree. They did not have an eternal place of suffering. The lower realm was not evil. They might have been powerful beings, but not inherently evil. In Asia, we have the Siberian and Venki, peoples who used the cosmic tree. The higher realm held sky deities, celestial beings, and ancestors. The lower realm had dangerous spirits, but shamans were trained on how to deal with them and keep the peace. They started in the Neolithic era, 4000 BC, and used the world tree to access knowledge about their inner and outer worlds. Christianization began in the 1600s to 1800s AD. Native American shamans of North America of every tribe found the same astro-cosmology. If you'd like a more in-depth video about each culture, as they're all over the globe, many still practicing, and their cosmologies and time periods, let me know in the comments. I can promise you, if you connect the dots, it all makes sense, and it proves time and space is irrelevant, and it seems more likely a possibility that this worldview and cosmology holds truer than Christian ideologies. And in no way am I saying that anything with Christianity, or everything, is BS. There's real things going on, and there's ancient knowledge going on, but honestly, most of it's not in the Bible, and it's the hidden gospel of Mary Magdalene, the book of Enoch, the Apotheka of John. There's a lot. um, yeah, there's a lot of hidden knowledge that we'll look into in later videos. Shamans across all areas found that consciousness resides in all things: plants, rocks, animals, rivers, weather patterns, etc. The things of this world were not found to be just dead matter or resources to be conquered and profited on. Everything is alive with energy or consciousness. Everyone except Christian traditions honor and respect the earth and its inhabitants like family and lived in harmony with nature. A shaman was a person or persons chosen by the gods or spirits that could traverse the spirit realm and, more scientifically, master their mind and go into altered states of consciousness to bring back information like a diagnosis of disease, or communicate with plant spirits to learn what their properties were and how the tribe could use them. Have you ever wondered how people before labs and scientists knew what plants and herbs to use for various illnesses, or if the plant was dangerous to consume, possibly deadly? As most people probably assumed, it was all trial and error, but it was far from that. Before labs and scientists and pharmacists, the shaman would go into an altered state, and as we are all consciousness and frequency, they would connect with the living world and interpret the information held in that space and bring it back to then use in 3D physical reality. They were far from ignorant. They had a better understanding of their reality than most people do today. Shamans lived outside the box. Religion created the box. Again, I'm going to say it. The Christian traditions do not abide by honor, but are led by fear, control, and power. Look around you. Westernization, colonization has only brought about suffering and lifts up greed as a force to pay for our mere existence on this planet. We are not treated as sovereign sentient beings, but slaves who are programmed to treat each other and the natural world the same, as a resource to be conquered. So to recap, one part that Christianity twisted from the shamanic pagan cultures was the concept of hell and eternal suffering and damnation. Yes, it is true there are realms that have spirits and beings that aren't thrilled with humans and can bring harm and problems upon us, but the way the ancients dealt with them was with respect and left them alone. The saying goes, that is true. Fuck around and find out. Honor and respect is a virtue that almost is impossible to find this day and age. Now, I want to clarify that I am not saying everything Christianity or the religions teaches BS. I have taken in-depth looks at many spiritual traditions and religions, and I will bring that information forth. But like me personally, besides working with spirit animals, ancestors, and those things, I work with angels. I talk to Jesus. I mean, you can call me crazy if you want, but that is another topic about mental illness, and that's a whole other probably video series about how other cultures treat people with mental illnesses who hear things that aren't there, see things that aren't there. They make those people shamans because they can communicate with things. Anyways, we'll get into that later. Thank you for watching. I welcome you to comment, ask questions, share what you think. Let's create a conversation about all this. And please leave a like and share this with other people you might think need to hear this. The world needs to wake up. And I believe this information is incredibly powerful to take back sovereignty, freedom, autonomy, individuality. But yet, when we discover ourselves, we're able to connect with our community much better and show up in the highest and best way for others. So I find this information and this knowledge absolutely imperative to the evolution of humans and the growth of our civilization into something better from which it is now. Thank you so much, everyone, and you guys have a wonderful day, week, and I'll see you next time. Peace. Man, I was really preparing for the shamanic underworld. I'm wearing way too many layers.